Hello and welcome to the Board Game Barbecue podcast brought to you by Advent Games and our Patreons. My name is Mitch and you are listening to episode number 274, I believe, which is the second.
Mitch?
Yeah, it's a question.
It's that counting thing again. I struggle with it.
I know what it's like.
He's struggled since he can't count the episodes on his toes and fingers ever since then. It's been too hard.
I've been begging for a player aid to just give me the episode numbers. But as you're probably aware, this is the second part of our top 10 episode. This is episodes from our number 5 to our number 1s. The last one was our 10 to 6. So we do have everybody here again. We have the whole team ready to knock those over. So without any further ado, how about we just jump right in at number 5? Any disagreements there?
Yep, let's do it.
Number 5, Dana, that's the number you were trying to count for your words. Okay.
Is that after 4?
It's after 4.
Yeah, got it.
Well,
got
it's
it.
Actually, yeah, but before 6.
Yep, got it.
All right, Dan, number 5.
All right, let's kick this off. I'm going to list all of the reasons why I love this game and why it's at my number 5. It's got cards. It's got cards on cards on cards. In fact, I heard someone refer to it earlier this year as Filing System, the board game. It's got cards that form a map. It's got cards for your resources. It's got cards that act as a countdown. It also has one of my favorite mechanics, which is discovery, and a map that literally opens up in front of you. And it occurred to me earlier this year when I played it again for the first time in a long time that it's got a unique metagame within it. It's because the theme of the game is you are revisiting an island. And so here's me revisiting the game after it's been so long since I played it, and I'm literally revisiting an island and exploring things that some of which I've explored last time, some of which I have a vague recollection of, and some of which I'm discovering for the first time. So it's 7th Continent, and I genuinely love this game. Every time I get it out, it's a beast to set up sometimes because of all the different filing, but it's an absolute joy to play and discover new things each time I play it. It's my number 5.
Very good. Seventh Citadel's almost here.
Yes.
Is it though? This is the thing.
Almost here, meaning in the next 6 months.
Yeah, don't get me started, all right? If there's one surefire way to set me off, it's talk about 7th Citadel. But every time Dan talks about 7th Continent, I go, there's so many. I want to play it, but there's so many that come up every now and again on the second-hand market. But I'm still waiting on this damn 7th Citadel. I'm like, Anyway, let's move on before I get too excited. Next in the list is Dev. How have you given number 5, buddy?
Well, number 5 is actually a new entry in my top 10, and it easily kind of made its way through past the previous games. This game was like, excuse me, I'm just passing through. Move aside, peasants. So, I mean, I had extremely high expectations of this game, and the game surpassed the expectations. I've spoken about it in the podcast recently. I played this game 11 times in the first 30 days that I had it, and we're talking a massive, big, sprawling, complex, heavy game. So that's by itself a testament.
That's about half as many times you play other games, right? Because you can play.
Last night, I taught this game to 3 new people, and today they're all messaging me trying to cancel their Christmas so we can play this game daily. So this is Voidfall. It has become a massive success for me this year. Played it solo heaps. I think this is probably one of the best solo games out there. It gives me total Spirit Island vibes in space. Like, it is absolutely amazing. I played it at 2 players. It plays fantastic at 3 and at 4. It is an epic game. I think by far Mind Clash Games' best game, and I expect this will become much more popular as the time goes by and becomes more available in retail, and people create more content for it. So, yeah, Voidfall has come in and sat on the top 5.
Def, have you taught it to anyone yet and they have not wanted to go and grab a copy? Because I feel like every time you teach this, there's someone looking for a copy, either on like Facebook or Discord. just
It's interesting
try and
you
grab one.
ask that because the people I taught it yesterday had already bought copies before I teach it, just from my description. So I feel personally responsible for a few of these copies sold. So I'm going to be calling Mind Clash Games to collect my commission soon.
And from it intrigues me to hear you say it's one of the best or the best solo game that you've played. And from my perspective, Mind Clash in the past, and I know David Tursey did the solo mode in this one, correct? Mind Clash in the past have always had some quite cumbersome solo modes. This one is not like that.
No, this one is basically you get the full experience as you get in the normal game with the solo mode. It has only one additional small thing that you need to keep an eye out, but the game itself works the same way. So there's no complex opponent or anything like that. It's absolutely fantastic. The game is fantastic.
That's excellent. So that's Voidfall, a new entry into Death's list and a new game for the year. So that takes us to Lauren, your number 5.
Alrighty. My number 5 is my favorite Splotter game. And I saw a few eyes perk up.
Yes.
It is the one I think that has the best theme. Adrian, you're gesturing to me. You're absolutely right. It's Food Chain Magnate.
Yeah.
Oh, what a game.
I did the YMCA, but FCM.
Mitch would call it Waitress the board game.
Yeah. The waitress strategy all the way.
This game gets a bit of flack for having really kind of scripted openings and being very punishing if you make mistakes from the outset. But I often find that if you're also playing with other people who are unfamiliar with the game, everyone's going to be making mistakes and they all kind of come out the wash. And I find that with lots of new players, even if someone, goofs, it always is just a well-balanced, really tight game. It is so thematic. I absolutely adore the theme. I find the art on the cards actually quite charming. I really
100%.
like the nostalgic feel of it. And I've got some upgraded bits for it and things like that. But it just a wonderfully interactive, great economic experience. Food Chain Magnate, my number 5.
Now, do you love it enough to back the new version of it?
I already own the base game and the expansion, so no.
Fair call.
But I really like the look of the old one.
No, I agree with you. I think I prefer the old look.
Yeah, it's got a look
100%
about it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Alrighty. So that's Food Chain Magnate for Lauren, number 5. Jules, your number 5.
Yeah, this one, look, if you listen to the last episode, there's been a bit of a trend and it's continuing here in my list where this one held the exact same position from last year. Nothing's changed, and I got to teach it at the game day just gone in Sydney a few weeks ago. It's so much fun. It's wild. It's chaotic. So much content to explore, and I'm eagerly awaiting the new edition of it that I can make it back compatible and have even more content as if I didn't have enough for it. It is Black Rose Wars.
Oh, great.
Absolutely phenomenal game. Just wild, crazy, building decks of crazy different schools of magic together and trying to kill each other over and over again. And I got to transform it into a giant dragon in the last game, and it was epic and absolutely stomp on people. Good fun.
I have a story from yesterday's game day about the Black Rose Wars.
Yes.
Jules at one point came over to me. This is for everyone else's. Jules came over to me and he said, I was just about to go start a teach of Black Rose War. And I went, okay, that's going to take a while, isn't it? He goes, no, about an hour and a half. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough, no problems. And then I was walking around later in the day, and I said to Chris Densley, "Oh, so you played Black Rose Wars with Jules?" He goes, "Yeah, we're running late because we'll run over an hour and a half overtime." I was like, yeah, of course it did. There was no way that was ever going to happen in an hour and a half. Jules is deluded.
I'm having so much fun. I don't think I said an hour and a half. I think I said 2, but I was having so much fun. It felt like an hour and a half. It was great. Never regretted a single minute.
So that's Jules' number 5, Black Rose Wars. All right, Connor.
All right, carrying on with my theme from last episode. The two games either side of my number 5 are Star Wars Armada and Gizmos. So Star Wars
Oh, those are
Armada
very
and
different games.
Gizmos, they are very different games. And this one here is...
Before you tell us, I just want to say, guessing your games is harder than guessing Dana's.
I'm not asking you to guess my games. I'm just giving you
I
more
agree.
information.
I agree.
Information
Yeah,
is
okay.
power. Information.
It can
Sorry.
also be useless.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
We've cleared that up. Continue.
This is called tidbits. My game is Cloudspire. So
Hoi.
yes. So this game is so much fun. Yes, there is a huge rules overhead, and all the factions are vastly different from one another to the point where they have their own individual rule sets that do not share rules with virtually any other units. There's a couple of common ones, but let's not let the truth get in the way of a good story. It's so cool. It's the closest thing I've ever played to a MOBA, where you have the troops leaving. It's a tower defense / MOBA game. I love upgrading. I love the choices that you have. Do you want to upgrade your units, or do you want to upgrade your spires, or do you want to upgrade your HQ? Upgrading your HQ then can also influence what your troops do. Oh, it's so great. I actually have not played all the factions yet. I know Jules has, but I love this game so much. I wish so much there was an online implementation of it, because I reckon it would be absolute gangbusters. It would go gangbusters, I should say, because it's just such a great 1v1, 2v2 game. And that game we played at the Melbourne game day with Sub-Zero Joe, Jules, even though we didn't finish it, it just was like, oh, this is so good. I wanted to restart and go again just and see what the different choices were. So Cloudspire is my number 5. It has been in my top 10 since I got it.
Great pick.
Excellent. I'm just getting into it. Jules has taught me it, and I've got to start playing it some more. You guys rave about it so much. I've got to get into the solo campaign. So, Dana, number 5.
Yes. So for those of you who maybe watched the top 5 before the top 10, I'm giving you top 5 before the 6 to 10. Are you laughing at me because I'm having trouble with numbers?
And you said watch.
I was about to jump in with a few spares just for you. 8, 9, 7, 4, 8, 3. 6,
Just say
2.
if anyone listens to the previous episode, then you can cut all numbers out of the equation.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. Anyway, I will give you 5 words, and you have to guess what the game is. So, number 5 is estate, reputation, dismiss, Asquith, and whist.
Okay, we know what that is.
I think everybody knows. It's obsession.
Obsession.
It's obsession. Now, this could have easily been higher. My top 5 games, I couldn't decide that, except for number 1, that they're really interchangeable. But I almost feel sad looking at this with a number 5 against it. But anyway, there it is. The perfect game where I could see myself sitting in a country cottage or something like that with my game group or with a group of people, speaking in proper English and, even dressing up a little bit. I love the cards, how they've got different text on it, and it's all about people's misadventures or why you would dismiss them because they're ruining your reputation. And I've actually learnt a lot. The rule book is brilliant for little facts about country England in Derbyshire. And I love that the designer is always seeking input about the game, and he's put variants in the game, like different ways to play. This game to me is the whole package, and the theme on top of it is a bonus, but it's the whole package to me. And yeah, that's why I love Obsession.
Cool. Number 5. All right, that brings us around to Adrian's number 5.
So my number 5 has dropped a couple of spots this year, and it's a great game. Obviously, it's in the top 10 for a reason. I still love it. I still play it a lot. It's broken me more times than any other game in my life. That is Pipeline. Now, it's still a great game, but it's just that, like I said at the start of the previous episode, I love that interactivity with other players. I'm getting more enjoyment out of playing with other people and having that conflict and push and pull. Whereas Pipeline really is your own puzzle. There's very limited interaction. Not that that's an issue because you know what you're in for. It's still a fantastic game with a great spatial puzzle. But just for me, at the moment, I am enjoying more and more games that involve player interaction. So that's why it's dropped a little bit. So, yeah.
Fair enough. And you did play it like 65,000 times trying to get those big scores,
Yes.
right?
So many times. So many times.
Yeah.
I've played this game. This is the second most played game, or third. So, yeah.
Yeah, right. All right, so that's Pipeline, Adrian's number 5. So that brings us to me, which is the last one on our list for number 5. And my 5 words to describe number 5 are mythic voyage, quest, adventure, exploration.
Mage Knight.
Sleeping Gods.
Wait.
Sleeping Gods, Dan wins the prize.
Ding, ding, ding.
Sleeping Gods is my number 5. Probably my favorite exploration adventure game. Just the different way that it works. I've only ever played it solo. I haven't actually played it multiplayer. And even though you're playing 8 or 9 characters, I think it is, it still plays really, really, really well. You're not playing 8 different hands. It's all sort of resources that you get to play. And there's just so much content in there that you can play it over and over, and you're always having different experiences, unlocking different areas and learning different things in the game. So that's my number 5, Sleeping Gods. Righto. So that brings us around to our round number 4. Back to Dan.
Whoop, whoop. Number 4. The things I love about this game is it's got tracks on tracks on tracks. Some people refer to it as spreadsheet, the game. It's got research management. It's often referred to as a flip in the flip and write genre, but really there's not much flipping involved. The only flipping is when the attacks come at the end of the round. Everything else is purely resource management and almost like trading. I'm trading this for this track, which then gets me that, and you're bouncing backwards and forwards trying to manage things and prepare for the oncoming attack. It is Hadrian's Wall. And the other thing I don't like about Hadrian's Wall is that Bobby Hill hasn't produced another game since. And I know Garfield Games have a few other games in the works. I think they're making some announcements this week or next. So I'm got my fingers crossed there's another game coming from Bobby Hill. But yeah, Hadrian's Wall is my number 4. I think it was 5 last year. So I've played it even more since then. It's gone up a number. It's great.
Yeah.
Dan, question.
Flip and roll and write.
Do you play it on Board Game Arena?
I do.
Do you like it more on Board Game Arena or on the table? Lauren and I just had this discussion.
I think I prefer it in person because I actually like moving my little meeples around and going, this gets me that, and I'll put this back and I'll get this one. And
yeah.
But it's easier to play back to back to back on BGA, and or have
ruining
multiple
the
games
environment. You're wasting paper. We've talked about this.
There's enough there.
There's a brick of paper.
That's the point.
There's the man with the neoprene mats. His cloud's fire.
Don't throw them out.
Yeah, it is a good one. I'll give you that, Dan. I'll pay it.
Cool. Thank you. Check.
Alrighty. Next up, we've got Def's number 4.
Number 4, the undisputed king of economic games in my top 10 now, given Russ Birmingham's slight retreat. And I don't disagree with anything Adrian said. For me, this clicks with my brain in all the right ways. I love the game. This is Pipeline. I can play it back to back. I can play. I've played it a lot. I haven't played it anywhere near as much as Adrian has, but if I could, I would. And yeah, I think for me, Pipeline represents a unique piece in my head, I guess, and the way board games work. And having that combination of the spatial puzzle with the economic development, I think it's pretty unique. We'll see how we go with Horseless Carriage. in the future. But for now, Pipeline is my number 4.
Okay, excellent. So that was no, you were 5, Adrian.
Yeah. Very
Almost
close.
as
Yeah,
close.
so
Almost.
one off. Okay. All right, so Lauren, you're number 4.
Alrighty. So my number 4. Now, while Mitch and Connor said that A Feast for Odin is the best Uwe game, I think it's a great game, but I don't think it's his best. I think his best
shots
game
fired.
is Caverna, the Cave Farmers. I love this game. I think that the thing I love about it is the really funny sometimes stories it tells. At the end of Feast for Odin, you look down and it's a little abstract what you've built. It's really cool. But at the end of Caverna, you've built your cave and your farm, and the cuddle room is somehow next to the slaughterhouse, which is next to the breakfast room. It's just really evocative and charming and funny. There is a glut of choices and things to do in the game. It's a little less punishing than Agricola, and I really love Agricola as well, but I think a bit more friendly to newcomers to the game. Really great game. My number 4, Caverna.
Look, it's okay to be wrong. It's fine. It's a natural process.
You're entitled to your opinion, but your opinion is wrong. Yeah.
Does Caverna have pillaging?
Ooh.
Yeah, no. See, it doesn't. So, that's enough said. Enough said. I think we know what the better game is. All right, thanks, Lauren. That's number 4, Caverna. That takes us to Jules.
All right, so this one was mentioned in the last episode by someone, and this one has dropped 1 space from last year, and I think that's just because I've played the other game I'll mention later more this year, but I currently have a game of it going on Board Game Arena. It was recently released on there, and it made me very, very excited. This game is one that a single decision can totally flip the whole thing on its head. And I've had that moment when I was in an alliance with someone and then they went to the Russian side and left me on my own. It is Pax Pamir. It is just an absolute delight to play. So many memorable games playing this. I don't think I'm very good at it, but
No, neither am I, but
but it's just so evocative and so interesting, that design. I love how you're playing on 2 battlefronts at once.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Do you think, Jules, that now that it's on Board Game Arena, it was already online on another war game or history game site, Rally the Troops, but Board Game Arena is very popular. Do you think that's going to increase its popularity, or do you think that the game has already found its sort of niche audience? Because it's more popular than what people think. It's a very niche game, but it's actually very, very popular.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough call. I think it will increase in popularity if I had to make a call. I think it's just absolutely brilliant. And, before Mitch says anything, more doilies and board games. It's amazing.
Digital tea-towel.
It's interesting to hear you both say that you struggle with winning it all the time or whatever. I'm actually undefeated.
That one play.
Well, undefeated's undefeated, Jules. I'm just saying. I don't know how I won that game. I still don't know how that works. But the record stands for itself.
We can play again, and I'll show you what happened.
Facts are facts. I'm undefeated. And let's move on. Connor, number 4.
My number 4. The 2 games either side of my number 4 are Twilight Struggle and Spirit Island. So a couple of heavy hitters.
That's high up. That's high up
there.
Spirit Island.
No,
he just said that.
That's right. Spirit Island's so good it's in the countdown twice.
What's up that high?
What's up that high?
Marvel Champions?
No.
Too many bones?
Marvel Champions? No.
Yeah,
I'll put you out of your misery. It is Gaia Project. Gaia Project is my number 4. This game, I'll be perfectly honest, one of the reasons this game is so high up on my list is the time I've spent playing with Def and Harry and the amount of laughs we've had. It is not a funny game by any means, but what happens is that you can make a decision that totally destroys any type of progress that you can make, and you've got to go back. And it's only once you've sort of moved 2 or 3 turns that you forgot what you're supposed to do 2 or 3 turns before. And the amount of swearing and yelling and desk thumping that I've done, that no doubt has caused Def to laugh his backside off. But look, again, common theme with a lot of my games that I enjoy, asymmetric powers so you can explore. There is just so much room to improve in this game. And what we often laugh about, Dev, is the fact that you are not qualified to play any of the new expansion races because you're still a noob at this game, according to certain people.
Yeah, that's right. You've played only 200-300 games of this. You're still a noob. That's what they say.
Yeah.
So I sit in my corner here.
So, no, and look, it's a game that I can't see winning anytime soon, but it doesn't stop my enjoyment from it. And there's obviously been a few different new iterations come lately, and yeah, I just enjoy it so much. Gaia Project is my number 4.
Cool. Thanks, Connor. So, Dana, your number 5 minus 1.
Yeah, it's
4.
4. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, this is getting really old.
Yeah.
Like Dan.
Dan. I knew that
Having
was coming.
Not that old.
I'm not older than,
What?
I think I'm older than Dan. This is the sad part. Is that
It's not possible.
it is, sadly.
Dan was born out of a rock, I think, wasn't he? And by lightning strike or something like that
On a mountaintop.
on a mountaintop.
I do think.
like
Do you think that? I'm just curious. Do people think that Dan looks older than me?
Do you really
don't
want to
know.
answer this
What are we
question?
doing here? Let's do a freaking top 5.
Sorry.
The behind the curtain on the Dan old jokes, I'm gonna put it out there now, is Dan is actually older than me by a grand total of like about 3.5 months.
Yes.
So ultimately we're the same. So the gag comes from the fact that I make the most Dan's old jokes because really I'm just as old as Dan is.
Yeah. But between the two of us, Mitch has the most back problems.
That's true too.
Less hair.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Number 4. So here are my 5 words: tuck, cavity,
Oh.
ground, bowl, and I've actually only got 4 words there.
Because you spent 6 on
Hang on, it's your number 4, so you're supposed to have 4 words, right?
All right.
No, that's Mitch.
No,
that's
that's
my
Mitch.
doing.
That's Mitch. Oh my God, I've only got 4 words. Anyway, does anyone know what it is?
No,
I forgot the
I don't
words.
Is
round.
it Earth? Is it Earth?
Cavity?
No, cavity. Tuck, cavity, ground, and bowl. It's wingspan.
Yeah, tough. I was going
Oh.
to say that. I can't.
Yeah, wingspan.
Nice, good one.
I don't know whether I really need to talk about wingspan because everybody knows wingspan. You can buy it in Kmart, but look, this was one of the first heavier, I guess you could say, after Carcassonne and Ticket to Ride that I played, and I fell in love with it, and it has been one of my favourite games ever since. And it's never, I don't know whether it'll ever drop. It's just something that I enjoy. I don't know. I just like the card play in it, and I love sharing this with other people. I always have a good time, and I mentioned this to Death recently. You must play with a large group in flock mode. Nobody knows about the flock mode, but in the
I
new
honestly couldn't give a flock about.
Oh,
anyway, find out about flock mode. Anyway, that's it.
It
Number
sounds
4.
like a cheat in the 90s when you were playing like Doom, or you can unlock flock mode if you go and do this or that. Or
No, I'm actually intrigued now. What is flock mode?
So if you've got, because wingspan can be a drag at high player counts, it's
Right.
it just takes too long. So what you do is you can play 6 people, and you play 2 3 player games at the same time, there's 2 bird feeders, but all the brown powers and all the end of round goals still count for all 6 people. So you're actually only playing a 2-3-player game, and you play each set of players plays at the same time, and then you play the next 2 and the next 2. It's
Yeah,
so
right.
good.
Look
so
at the
good.
confusion on Mitch's face right now, everyone. He looks so gobsmacked. He's like, what? What? Oh.
It's about birds, Mitch.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I actually don't mind Wingspan. I did have an experience when you just said that, Dana. We did play it once at 5, and I could have put a power drill to my temple after that.
But flock mode will change that. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So I appreciate knowing that now. That's good. And it goes from 5 to 6 if you play flock mode then as well. So you can play with more players and have a better game.
That's it.
Yeah, cool. All right. So that was Dana's number 4. Adrian, your number 4.
My number 4 is On Mars. I've spoken about this game many, many times. It's got that interactiveness in it that I enjoy more now, right? Like, so that's why it's kind of stayed up higher than, say, Pipeline, because there is an element on the board where you're interacting with the board state and doing different things. It's Vitalis Serta's best game for me. It's still stayed in my top 5 for, I think, the past 3 years. So, and it still hasn't come out. So, and for me as well, I agree with Def. The expansion, I've only ever played it that one time and never used it since. Like, I don't dislike it, but the base game is just so good. You don't need the expansion. You could just play this base game over and over and over and over. You never need to use the expansion. It's a strange one. So, yeah.
And if I recall correctly, you lost this game like 10 times in a row or something, and continued to still play it.
Yes,
still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I agreed to play it 10 times in a row before I first spoke about it on the podcast, and I lost 9 games in a row. So, it's great.
There you go. Awesome. So that's 80's number 4, which is On Mars. And that brings us up to me for my number 4. So my number 4, my 4 words for my number 4 are Undersea Conquest, Secret Ambitions.
Nemo's War.
Def got it.
Yeah.
Good man.
Well done.
Good man, Def.
Such a fantastic game.
Yes, Nemo's War, brilliant game. Really, really enjoy it. It's not for everybody. There is a bit of dice rolling in it, so you are beholden to the dice at times. But I'm not one that dislikes that randomness. I think it makes it exciting. It's super hard, as all good solo games should be. It's definitely a good challenge, and I just really enjoy it. It's a game that's designed to be played solo. So it doesn't feel clunky at all. It doesn't feel like you're doing something to make up for something that's missing. It was designed that way. Doesn't work multiplayer. I've heard. I've never played it multiplayer. I've never tried. But I've heard that the co-op version is just a staple on. But yeah, it's a really, really great solo game. If you're ever intrigued about solo gaming and you don't mind that sort of medium to heavier weight games, love it. Nemo's War, it's great. Alrighty, so that brings us to the end of our number 4s, which means we round the horn back to the top. Number 3, Dan.
Number 3, Mitch. If it weren't for the submarine, you could have easily just described my number 3 game. The things I love about it is it's a dedicated designed solo game. It's a challenge. It's got dice rolling, which you can potentially mitigate with certain cards as well. And it's super thematic, and it's unlike Nemo's War, this one is completely modular. So you can change the way the game is set up. You can change the villain, and you can change who the final girl is. It's Final Girl. Yeah. It's fantastic. It's actually gone up a notch since it was number 4 last year. It's number 3 for me now.
It's on the podium.
And yeah, it's just a great game. I'm looking forward to the season 3 coming out, but there's so much content there's so much content just in season 1 alone, but season 1 and season 2, I'll keep coming back to that for like a really sort of nice bitey solo game. I can see both seasons sitting behind Mitch as well. So yeah, my number 3, up 1 spot from last year, is Final Girl.
I was actually just pointing to the name of this this place.
Oh, don't do that
Sorry, that's a bit of an in-gag. But yeah, Final Girl's a cracking game, Dan. Yeah, I'll definitely endorse that selection. That's a good one. All right, so after Dan, we have Def. You're number 3.
Right. So as I said before, I think at this point, my top 3 games could be interchangeable. But this game, I already loved it before, and I was thinking if I could ever get a group that loves the game and knows the game, and then we can just keep replaying it, and the whole sort of meta of the game develops and all of that, that would be fantastic. So I've done that. And in my opinion, this is the best game system that I've seen, the best game system that's been designed. It's been around for more than 20 years, and hundreds of maps are now available for it. And I've taught it to Adrian as well, and he loved it. I think if we could get together and play it frequently, this would become both our number 1 game. This is Age of Steam. In my opinion, one of the best games ever designed. It is an absolute blast to play. We just played the map with Lincoln's funeral car on Wednesday, and everybody had an awesome time chasing Lincoln's funeral car around to deliver cubes. It sounds a bit morbid, and weird, but it was a cracking fun. Age of Steam, an absolutely phenomenal game. Number 3.
Nice. You'll have to teach me this one day, Def, but it does scare me.
It's not a scary game.
Complex,
it's
very
not
simple
a scary
game.
Yeah, 100%.
It's only
When he says
scary when
economics and stuff, I go, oh man, I can't count past 10. I mean, I know I can count more than 5, which is what Dana's proved it to be, but I still feel like there's not enough smartphone player aids that will save me from this game. You know what I'm saying?
It's only scary when your whole plan hinges on Def taking any other action except for locomotive action. Literally any other action, and he takes a locomotive action. That's the only time it's scary.
I know that we call Connor a Yeti and stuff sometimes. Well, I think maybe I do mainly, but he was rocking backwards and forwards like one of those poor Russian bears you see in a cage, because he's just standing there above me, and I'm still sitting down, and I'm like, are you okay? Like, he was so on edge. And then Harry started standing up for some reason, and he was on edge. Everyone was on edge. Me and Def were just sitting chilled as, but it was great. It's a great game.
I had to go stand by the wall.
Yes,
I needed space.
It's also the game that I've taught to the most people, and you all know I love teaching games. So I've taught a lot of games to a lot of people. This is by far the game I've taught to most people. So it finally stuck to my group.
All right, Def, March next year. I'm locking you in. You can teach me.
Done. Sold.
Well, I've got a copy, Mitch, so I can teach you sooner.
Def, March next year.
Don't trust this guy.
And for the record, 80, we'll be putting words in our mouths. I don't call Connor a Yeti. I call him a Sasquatch.
Yeah.
North American variant. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. So moving along, Lauren, your number 3 game.
Alrighty. My number 3 is a game that just yesterday Harry said would be replaced by Def's number 5.
Oh.
So Def's number 5 is Voidfall. And my number 3 is Eclipse Second Dawn. It is brilliant. I always thought that I did not need deluxe bits in games. I thought I was above it. I thought I was better than it. And then I got that game and whew, those trays, the bits, outstanding. It is a really just brilliant example of how you can integrate Euro mechanisms into kind of a 4X adjacent, or maybe 3X in that game, adjacent game. It has been spoken about to death on the podcast, so I won't talk too much about it, but it's, outstanding for a reason. It is just like really one I want to keep coming back to. There's so much replayability, even though towards the end, maybe there's some sort of scripted big battles. I still find those battles really exciting because for a game that is really strategic and really blends Euro mechanisms and is a lot about resource and money management, at the end, you're kind of just stupid chucking dice and seeing who wins. And it creates really big, exciting moments every time I play it. Maybe it'll be Voidfall next year, but right now my number 3 is Eclipse.
Well, that'll be an interesting development to see over the next 12 months to see how that shakes out. All right, thanks, Lauren. That was your number 3. So that brings us to Jules, your number 3.
All right, so my number 3, this is the one that pushed above PAX Premier to swap places with it, just because I've got to play it more this year. Luckily, I've found a couple of people that really enjoy the game. And the greatest faction is the Lizard Cult. All hail the Scaly the Lord.
Get out of here. Come on.
It is Root.
Connor, help me out.
I'm well on your train. Like,
Did you say it went up one spot as well?
It did go up one spot, yes.
It must have done the same as Connor, hit the ground and bounced up again.
Well, actually, for those that have followed along the journey all these years, Root, the first time we did our top 10, Root came in at number 7. And then last year was number 4, and now it's number 3. So it's on the upward.
What about the first time you played it, Jules? Where would it have come in?
Look, somewhere in the thousands, but that's history now. Look, I learnt the ways of Root. I understand, and it is an amazing game. Yeah, Lizard Cult's my favorite, but all factions are good fun to play. It does have a high barrier to entry where you need to learn all of those factions to get that full enjoyment, but it's absolutely worth the price.
You don't need to know all the factions. You just need to have MJ give you the win, like she did with Mike in that game over Easter, where MJ thought, I don't know what MJ was thinking, but effectively she didn't want either me or Jules to win.
Yes.
So she handed the win to Mike. Anyway, look, you guys know what I think about it.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I can't fault MJ's logic there, though.
Well, you'd rather Mike win than me? What are you talking about? Jules, I get, but come on, man, I never win.
That's true.
Speaking of that, I did have a look. I was trying to figure out how many times I played it this year. I've played it 6 times in person, which is pretty good for a somewhat complex game. And I think that game you're referring to, Connor, I think that was the one game I've lost this whole year. I've won 5 out of 6. Yeah. All hail the Lizard Cult.
Weirdos. Non-fighting weirdos.
So, whilst Jules and Connor are going at it, we're going to just cross that bridge and head straight over to Connor for his number 3.
Nah, I'm still dirty. So, the 2 games either side of my number 3 are Food Chain Magnate and The Crew Mission Deep. 2 very different games.
Food Chain Magnate. Sorry, what are we doing here?
There's 2
Marvel Champions.
It is not Marvel Champions. So, spoilers: Marvel Champions is not in my top 10 because.
Whoa!
Yeah. Were you on that episode? You were on that episode.
I probably was.
Anyway, it is a darling of the podcast. We love to say that phrase. Absolute darling of the podcast. I reckon virtually, I know 6 of us have played it at least, and that is too many bones when you can never have too many bones. Oh my God, this game. I think the most excited I've ever been to get a game has been when I got too many bones, because for a long time I was like, do I need it? I don't know if I need it. And then I played it online on TTS with Mitch and I fell in love with it. And I was like, okay, I need to get my hands on this game. And then I played it in person with Mitch a few years ago. And then I was like, yes, I 100% have to get this. Even to the point where I backed a campaign for another game from Chip 3 Games just so I could get too many bones and not to get the game itself. So, yeah, too many bones. It's an RPG in a session. You're building these gear locks out that are super unique, super thematic, so many cool abilities. It does have a knock to say, the skills don't matter too much, but I think the new baddies and then the new gear locks and how powerful those skills are do make it essential that you take those skills. And even then, the basic ones are super fun to play. Like even someone like Pickett, who is a tank, and they get to use their defensive dice rather than their attacking dice. Just so cool. So, yep, Too Many Bones and all its bells and whistles is my number 3.
I think that's a good choice, Connor.
Yeah, I thought
I've got to say, I think it's a good one.
Don't worry, Cloud Spy will overtake it one day. You watch.
Yeah, all right, and Dana, number 3.
I'm just curious because I've got some people talking to me in a chat while we're doing this podcast, and they were literally talking about Too Many Bones and how they'd just some ladies in my game group and how they'd love to try it. Is it like a super difficult game? That's actually what stops them from playing it, because it seems too hard.
So
too hard to learn.
It's too hard to learn, or too hard to
learn. No, too hard to learn.
It's not that hard to learn. It's not dissimilar to sort of problem you face with, like when you're with Root, in that the difficulty comes from the fact that all of the different characters you're going to play their own way and have their own little subset of rules. So the overall sort of rules for the game are relatively easy, in my opinion, but you have to spend a little bit of time getting to know what your character can do and how effective it can be in the game.
Right.
And you won't be able to help out your friend sitting next to you because their character is totally different.
I'm right. Got it. Okay. My number 3, and I've checked, I have 5 words, so that's good. All right. 5 words are field, structure, yoke, rooster, and Sobel. Anyone know?
Viticulture?
Yes.
No, it's Beth Sobel. It's a Beth Sobel
good.
game. Is it? Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Well done.
Good job, Def. Good job.
Yeah, yoke gave it away. I remember the word from there.
Yeah, well done. So viticulture, I will, a lot of people say like Tom Bassel, maybe he might be my husband one day. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, he says, I won't play this without the expansion, the Tuscany expansion. I'll play this anyway. It doesn't bother me. Sometimes I compare games to food, and this is one to me that is like melted chocolate. It is so smooth. It reminds me of like a chocolate fountain. And I just love the way it plays. It's just, I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. Anyway.
Is Tom Vassell there with a chocolate fountain?
Oh, no, don't do that.
He's laying in it.
Apologise to anyone who's eating at the moment while listening to this podcast.
We did get the cease and desist order from Tom Vassell last week, but it seems we're just ignoring that, right?
Oh, dear.
Anyway, that's my number 3, viticulture.
Viticulture, cool. All right. Adrian, your number 3.
My number 3 is a game that I am constantly playing. Unfortunately for everybody else as well, it tends to be at these conventions, and I mean, I drag this thing around with me everywhere. It comes in a book form, so it's very easily transferable around the spot, and that is Bristol 1350. Yeah, man. I mean, like, if I look back over the past 2 or 3 years of my gaming experiences, we have played this game at PAX. We've played at South by Southwest, game days, birthdays, parties, just constantly. There's never been a dull game where it's like, oh, yeah, okay, finished. You won. Like, it's always erupting with noise, chaos, everyone laughing. Oh, you were sick the whole time? Bloody hell, and just going off. And just that interaction is amazing. Like, it's so fun. And it's just not a long game as well. I wouldn't want to play one of those things for like 3 hours. I'm happy that it's a 45-minute thing. I mean, it broke Connor's watch because we were so loud at South by Southwest.
The decibels, yeah.
I mean, I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's a fantastic game for all sorts of people. So,
I just realized no Kanban on your top 10. No, because I think I know what your top 2 are.
Gone, baby.
Ooh.
I only have one designer for each spot. The thing that I've really enjoyed about Bristol 1350 is the fact that I constantly get to play it with people, introducing new people to board gaming as well. Like at South by Southwest, we dragged people who had never played these modern board games and they jumped straight in, had a blast with it. I also love the fact that I think the variant is better. I think playing when people start off sick, and that's a secret from the get-go, you can be evil from the start. No one can know, and it doesn't matter. They're all confident. We haven't mingled the whole game. Our cart's going over the line. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And then it's like, actually, I was sick at the start. I was sick before we played. That not knowing is brilliant. I think that's a genius move. So, yeah, I would suggest if anyone hasn't played with a variant, hit that variant up and give it a go. So,
yeah, no, it's a good one. And I knew it was going to be up there in your list because you were pushing that thing like crazy at South by.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good.
Indeed, yeah. All right, so Bristol, Adrian's number 3, a new entry in the list. So that brings us to my number 3, and this is getting pretty tight now with very few words to describe. But I think you'll all get this one. The 3 words for number 3 are Nautical Dice Mastery.
Oh,
Fleet the dice
Fleet
game.
the dice
Fleet the dice
game.
game.
Pew, 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 pew.
Fleet the Dice game. There was a few people who have mentioned like Flip and Right, Roll and Rights before as their best ever. They were just wrong. That's just simple. The facts of the matter. Fleet the Dice game is hands down the best roll and write there is. It was the first of the heavy or the loaded roll and rights, as the MCG guys will say. And it's, stood its time and stayed better than all the others. So coming in at number 3 on my list, it'll be there for a while. I really enjoy it, solo or with people. Fleet the Dice game.
Apart
Agreed.
from the one time you said the king is dead.
Things happen, Jules, and there's flavors of the month. And, but you always...
He was high on Gaviscon.
Yeah, high on Gaviscon.
Trust you to remember that, you jackass. If you're looking for a new board game, you need to check out adventgames.com.au. They have a great range of games, including pre-orders and hot new games. Anything you could be looking for will be there at Advent. Dean provides excellent customer service that is second to none, and is always keen to support the Australian board game community through events, game days, and even through sponsoring a podcast. So head over to adventgames.com.au today. That's adventgames.com.au. All right, let's move on. So, number 2, we're getting to the pointy end. Dan, give us your number 2.
Yeah, I got a confession to make here. My number 1 and number 2, I could easily interchange them at this point in time. I haven't because I'm freaking lazy. And so my number 2 is the same as number 2 as last year, but I love them both pretty much equally. The thing I love about my number 2 game the most is it's my favorite deck builder. The setup is modular, even though I still tend to play through the campaign style games that it presents. I love the theme with mages and spells, and I love that just the single card flip where best laid plans can completely go awry, whether it's flipping over the next Nemesis card or flipping over even just the turn order can completely screw up what you've got planned in Aeon's End. And I'm including everything in this, but yeah, it's my favorite deck builder. I love mixing up the marketplace a little bit. I recently bought a massive box where I've consolidated all of my marketplace cards into the one thing with all the different little dividers. So I've got all my spells, all my relics, all my items, and I can mix and match. And I don't know whether I will keep on buying content. There's rumors there may be more, or initially the past and future expansion was going to be the last one. But my number 2 is and remains Aeon's End.
Been there for a while, that one, Dan. Alrighty, so number 2 for Def.
So my number 2 game has given me the most memorable experience when playing board games. Like, I cannot think of another game that has given me so many moments that I can recall from playing. This is, in my opinion, a masterpiece of a design, a masterpiece of a game, a masterpiece of an experience. You need to be able to understand what you're walking into with this game, though. And I think that's the one caveat for it. And also that it usually shines after you've understood what it's about and you've played it once at least. So this is Cole Wehrle's masterpiece, John Company, second edition. A complete surprise for me when it first came out, and it's now become one of the best games I've ever played, and still, one of the reasons why chasing my John Company group around every few times every year to play it together. The last game we played, one of them wore a wig and the other one brought a gavel because they were the prime minister. So everybody kind of gets full into the role, and it's just a phenomenal game. John Company second edition. It's worth trying out.
So good, so good.
All right, thanks, Steph, for that one. John Company, I knew that was going to make an appearance somewhere, so that's interesting that's that high. Lauren, you're number 2.
Alrighty. My number 2 has already been talked about on the top 10, and I think it's going to make another appearance. It is the game, I think, that tells stories more than any other game. I've had such memorable experiences playing this, such memorable campaigns playing this, that I think about again and again, and that is Arkham Horror, the card game.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's the game I've played. It's the second most played game of all the games I've played. I played most of the content for it, and I just really memorable ends to campaigns. And without getting into anything too spoilery, one of my campaigns ended with a character of mine falling through an endless void, and that was years ago. And sometimes I still think, my goodness, she's still falling.
Whatever happened to her?
It really is just an outstanding game. What that system is able to do with cards and how much it's able to simulate with cards is just so interesting and creative, and kind of constantly pushing the boundaries with what you can do with that system. Yes, my number 2, Arkham Horror, the card game.
Okay, another one of you we've got on the show now. Jeez.
One of us. One of us.
Common Philosopher and Cole Wehrle.
All right, that brings us to Jules, and he's number 2.
All right, my number 2 game of all time. I have a bit of a sad fact for this one. I have not played this game in person at all this year. And I think I've played maybe one game online, and that is it. Because I played it so much. Yes, like get the little violin out. That's it.
This is brilliant.
But
That's perfect.
it's still at number 2, despite that fact that I have not been able to table this game, because it is just that good, and it is my most played game of all time by a long shot. I'm talking 100 plus plays above the next one, and that is Super Fantasy Brawl, and masterpiece of an arena battler game. So easy to teach. Just pick the 3 characters, mash their cards together, and away you go. There's so many combos of characters you can play. I really hope that Simon quickly gets to, relaunching and revitalizing this game, because they picked the IP up from another publisher who shall not be named. And it's just so, so good. The miniatures are fantastic. It's just so well designed. I absolutely love this game. I can't wait to keep working on painting all my miniatures. I've done a couple of them, but there's so many to go. Yeah. Number 2, Super Fantasy Brawl.
I thought last year that started to slide on your list a little bit.
No. So for those playing at home, the first year we did it, it sat at number 5. Last year was number 2, and this year it's number 2.
Number 2 again. There you go. All righty. Thanks for that, Jules. So let's move on to Connor. You're number 2.
My number 2. So the games that sit either side of this game are Lost Ruins of Arnak and Terra Mystica.
So this is super close to one you've had before then.
It
is. It was on the other side of the Lost Ruins of Arnak, right?
Spirit Island, right? Has to be.
It is the probably the most unexpected jinx of the show, because my number 2 for this year is Arkham Horror: The Living Card Game. It has been
Dethroned.
It has been dethroned purely because I haven't put the time into it that I have the game that will be number 1 for me. Lauren, you pretty much summed it up. It's the stories that it tells, not only that, the gameplay mechanics that you have with the cards and what they've been able to do. I actually feel like it would be a disservice to the game to put it number 1, because I have so many uncompleted campaigns that I need to go through and finish. So yes, I'm hoping next year it can reclaim its throne as number 1, but for it to sit right for me, I have to put Arkham Horror Living Card Game as my number 2. So for the first time ever, it has not been number 1 in my countdown.
Wow.
Hold the phone.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Was it number 2 for you as well? Like,
Yeah, but I was hoping that it would get a bit more celebration.
Oh dear, well that's a shock. That's absolutely
Bombshell.
Can we go on? I don't know if we can, but let's see.
You voted me out before we started recording. So,
I didn't. No. You missed it. I didn't. I was the one who voted for you. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, Dana, you're number 2.
Right, my number 2 is probably going to surprise everyone because it's not a game that you would think would be in my top 10.
Kaplunk.
Close.
Twilight Imperium 4th edition.
No. Okay. So the words are elemental, dungeon, dominate, doorway, and wizard.
Oh, at first I thought it was Res Arcana, but I'm
Talisman.
There was a D&D campaign that we used to play called the Temple of Elemental Evil that was about an evil wizard who lived in a dungeon.
Mage Knight. I don't know.
It's not Hero Quest, is it?
Hero Quest?
No, it is the Dwellings of Eldervale.
Oh, wow.
That's why. Surprised that didn't make Jules' top 10 either.
Now, this has this is a real surprise to me because it's got things in it that I don't like. like
speak it.
Well, no, but it's got
You've got Jules on board now.
but it's got area control and combat in it. But I just don't see that as like it. I mean, it's part of the game, but there's so much more to it that it doesn't concern me, and I enjoy it. And this game in particular has got special memories for me. I used to play it with an old friend who's since passed away, and it just really holds a special place in my heart. I think, and actually I remember buying it, and it was at the very first Brisbane game day at Maruka. And I bought this game, and actually I had it in my hands when I saw you, Mitch. I had it in my hands when I saw you.
Oh, special connection for us then.
Yeah. But anyway, look, it's pretty much got a bit of everything. It's got worker placement. It's got variable player powers, dice combat, area control. It's just got a little bit of everything. And everybody, whenever I play this, and I think it plays well at 5, everybody seems engaged, and the turns are really pretty quick. It moves quickly. There's just so much variety in one game. It's a feast of colour to look at. And I love the way that you use cards and the way that you retrieve workers. It's just a brilliant game. And I'm so looking forward to the next version from Breaking Games, which is Andromeda's Edge. So that's it.
There's another thing we have in common, Dana. I too purchased my copy of Dwellings of Eldervale at the first Brisbane game day at Maruka.
Oh my god! This is weird.
Dave. Actually, I didn't purchase it. I think I swapped a playmat with Dave from 2D6 for the game. So yeah, I purchased it just on with cash. How's that?
This is weird. If you start appearing in my dreams, I'm going to freak out.
Again.
It's Tom Bassel.
Oh no!
In the chocolate
fountain.
in the chocolate fountain.
This conversation is deteriorating very quickly.
Look, let's get away from this and go to Adrian's number 2 to save us, please.
I don't know if this is going to save many people, if I'm honest. But my number 2 is a game that has spawned almost a dynasty of fan base. And Adam Poots has done a fantastic job with the entire Kingdom Death Monster series. And like you guys were saying before, how Arkham Horror creates stories and has these great story narratives, I feel that in Kingdom Death Monster, you, the player, you create those story narratives. Like it becomes part of your, I don't know, your thought process and everything. It's a phenomenal game. It's honestly, I've never had a game group. So for me to have this game group, they are like family now. Like we've been playing this game for over 2 years. Like it is just an adventure in itself. I've loved every minute. I mean, Finley is sitting in the lounge room with the headphones on and he's yelling out that we're too noisy because it is just laughs, chaos. Mm-hmm. It's just fantastic. Even MJ was watching the TV the other day with the subtitles on because she couldn't hear the TV. And then she came in here and closed the door. But it's a riot from start to finish. And we play this game so regularly that it's an enjoyable experience every time. So yeah, that's Kingdom Death Monster. It's phenomenal. And that's the problem as well. Like, Mitch, I know that you were sort of jokingly nodding off at the start of my spiel, but it sounds a slight bit of arrogance to it, but you can't describe this to people who haven't played this game for that time. Like, you could play 10 sessions of this, which is essentially almost 20 weeks if you played one session a fortnight, and you would not even scratch the surface to what needs to happen in this game. It's a phenomenal game. It really, really is a masterpiece. So, Kingdom Death Monster.
I actually think, if I'm being honest, I actually think that I probably would really enjoy the game.
You would love it. I promise you. Yeah.
In terms of my style of games and what I tend to enjoy. But I also enjoy hanging shit on you for it.
100%.
So it's a hard decision. It's a hard decision.
It's an easy decision. Hang shit on me.
That's true. It is. Yeah, it is. All right. So number 2, the last number 2 before we get on to the absolute finale. So number 2 for me, the 2 words to describe my number 2, Cowboy Journey.
Great Western Trail.
Great Western Trail. Great Western Trail. Fantastic. Awesome game. There's Galloways in it. They're really cool.
I learned that tonight.
I was with Darna's thing. I thought it was going to have Galahad, and I was like, "Oh, it's about the
Knights."
I thought Galloway is a brand of golf ball.
That's Callaway.
Oh, Callaway.
Everything Dana said about the game, she was bang on. It's heaps of fun. I think it's actually. People say, it's a heavy game. And yeah, it is. It's a heavy Euro game. There's a lot of going on. But I don't think it's hard to learn. I think I've taught it to a lot of people, and they, a couple of turns through, the iconography's real clear, the system's real clear, going through and doing, all the stuff you need to do when you get to Kansas. I think it's a heavy game that's a good starter for people getting into heavy games.
All right, we need to clarify something.
Yes.
OG, Argentina or New Zealand, though?
Not Argentina.
Yep.
You can definitely say Argentina is out. I've only played New Zealand once, Jules, with you.
Okay, yep.
And it was good, don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know. There's a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like history with the original.
Yep.
It's a familiarity
sort
of thing that goes along with it. So I think if you're coming in new and you'd never played either before, I'd just go take your pick. They're both they're both as good as each other.
Okay.
But if you've been around and you've got a bit of an emotional attachment to the original, then I'd probably lean towards the original.
Fair call.
Yeah, but they're both great. I don't think you need both of them, to be honest, even though I do have both of them. But yes, so my number 2 is Great Western Trail. So that brings us to the absolute peak of the mountain, the summit, as you would. The number ones, the games of the all-time favourites for all of us for 2023. And we're going to kick things off with the old man of the group, Dan. How you going, Dan?
There it is again. There it is. My number 1, I've already sort of already spoiled it for everyone, but much like Arkham Horror, it's the deck building for me is what I love about this game. It's the modular sort of replayability, and instead of the story crafting, which is what I love about Arkham Horror, this Fantasy Flight game, it's more about those quick one-shots. And the nostalgia for me, sort of pairing up some of my favorite Marvel characters to take on a villain. It's like when we're kids, it's like, oh, who do you reckon will win in a fight between Spider-Man and, so-and-so, and sort of mixing up your different villains. Marvel Champions, it's one of those games that I really enjoy. That it feels much more like a puzzle for me, as opposed to Arkham Horror, which is, there's still sort of a bit of a puzzle to go on, but you've got the bag of doom. With Arkham Horror was, for me, this is more of like I really enjoy the puzzliness of the puzzle every time I play it. And it is just the best bits of the Marvel comics that I grew up with. Just this year, I picked up Gambit, I picked up Psylocke, who are my 2 favorite X-Men characters. So being able to play with them now is just an absolute joy. So my number 1, again this year. Having said that, Hadrian's Wall and Final Girl are creeping up my top 5s, but this year again, Marvel Champions, the card game, is my number 1.
Yep, good game. I actually just bought the new Deadpool
Oh, yeah.
pack. Yeah, and I said to Dean when I was making that purchase yesterday at the game day, I keep buying these games, these add-ons, because I want these characters in my game, but I don't play them. I don't know.
I tend to pick and choose the ones I get now. Like when Solid come out, like, oh, I'm getting it, but I haven't got Angel, I haven't got a couple of the others yet. I probably will.
All right, Def, give it to us, buddy. What's your number 1?
Undisputed still. Number 1, Gaia Project. Difficult to compete with this game, but like I said before, especially this year, the amount of fun that I've had with Age of Steam and John Company, it could be, you could pick any of these 3 games to be my number 1 game. Gaia Project still keeps its throne. The depth in the gameplay is just a perfect Euro game for me. Like there is nothing like it, in my opinion. For me, it just connects with the neurons in my brain in all the right ways. I've played it almost 250, 300 hours maybe now, and every single game is still fresh and interesting. It's difficult to achieve that, I think. So for me, Gaia Project still my number 1.
Awesome. I could kind of see that coming. Hadn't made it out there yet. Knew it was going to be around. All right. Next on the list is Lauren, number 2. Sorry, number 1. What am I talking about?
I mean, I can talk about Arkham Horror some more.
Yeah, please do.
Please go.
Alrighty. My number 1 is, I think, a game that as soon as I played it, I said, that's it. This is the best game I've ever played. This is the best experience I've ever played. And it sat at that spot until now. It is the best detective game, I think, ever made.
Cluedo.
It is Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective is my number 1 game of all time. I think it's, the best detective game ever made. The best writing in any game I've encountered. This is a stand-in for all of them, but I think the best one in the series is Baker Street Irregulars, which is the green box. The reason why I like this, I think, of other detective games, which, there's many that I really enjoy, is because of how much creativity and lateral thinking it allows you to kind of inject into the game and your approach. because there's no mechanics like scanning QR codes or typing thing into a browser or anything like that, you can kind of freely roam and follow your intuitions. And to a large extent, the sandbox nature of it allows you to do this. So if you have a hunch about how something should be reached or how something should progress in the story, you can follow those steps. I found with other games, I really enjoyed parts of Chronicles of Crime, but I felt like sometimes I'd solved the puzzle, but I just didn't have the combination of location and person and item to kind of progress the story. Whereas here, because it's such an open world, I can follow my hunches in a way that really always feels meaningful. So there was this guy and he came from overseas, let's go to the immigration office. That kind of stuff. And people rag it because they say, oh, you could never beat Sherlock and anything like that. Who's trying to do that, really? I think the best way to play this game is over several days, actually. So my partner and I, we've set it up on the table, kind of followed the case and done it until we hit a point where we got stuck and we stopped playing it. We slept on it, came back to it with fresh eyes. And then we have these revelations and it really makes me feel like a real detective because I had these aha moments of just cracking the case. And I think that's the best way to play this game. This is the game that I've taught to the most people and had the most people buy after me having taught it to them. It's just, every time I revisit it, it's just absolutely outstanding. My number one game of all time, Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
Wow. I'm pretty sure Dan just went and added all the copies
I
from
want to buy it
Advent Games.
now, just hearing about it.
Have you not played it, Dan?
No.
Oh, Dan. There's also, if you like the Cthulhu flavor, there's Bureau of Investigation, which integrates Cthulhu nonsense into the, I guess, formula, but I've not played that one.
Yeah, Connor and I have talked about this, but all right.
There's a purchase bin
Merry
out.
Christmas, Dan. Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going. Jules, number one.
All right. Number one. I feel a little bit sad that Adrian and I couldn't be brothers here, but Kingdom Death Monster holds its spot from last year. Just everything Adrian said. The stories are wild, but I've said time and time again, this is a blend of miniatures and board gaming that are my two favorite hobbies. It's just out of this world. So good. So thematic, so evocative. It's going to be... when making the list again for this year and using Pub Meeple as a tool to sort of get that going, when picking the games against each other, I was just thinking it's going to be so hard for anything to knock this off the top of my list. Really, really hard. I hope something does one day, though, because that just means it's something even better. But I don't know how something will do it. I don't know. But there you go. Number one is Kingdom Death Monster.
All righty. Not too many surprises so far. We've got Connor next. You're number one, buddy. This will be new, so we know that there's a new one coming now.
Yeah. So you could actually... This is the only time you would maybe be able to guess because
I do think I know.
This game has actually come up before next to another game, if that makes sense. So the two games either side of my number one are Gaia Project and Star Wars Rebellion.
It's Spirit Island.
It is
I jumped the gun before.
Island. So it is the game that I have spent the most time with over the last year with the new expansion content. I've talked about this game multiple times on the show, how it holds a special place in my heart, being the anti-colonizing game where you're fighting off the colonizers. It taps into the First Nations side of me, and so it feels like it does give expression to my First Nations heritage. It's obviously non-specific, but it's got big Pacific Island vibes about it too. I love each of the different spirits that you get to control. The game has just increased in complexity as the years have gone on. And I sort of thought to myself, okay, if I had one game that I could be left on a desert island with, and that was it would be Spirit Island, because there's so much variety in the box. there's so many great puzzles to do, so many great things to solve, different levels you have to pull. It's got hand management, it's got upgrading. Each of the spirits you've got to play totally different. And now with the Horizons of Spirit Island, I can play this game with a younger generation of people who we can play the game together. And I can use a complex spirit and they can use a simpler spirit. So, yeah, my new number one, but it has not shifted all that too far, is Spirit Island.
All right, what is your favorite spirit to play as at the moment, Connor?
Oh, at the moment, the name escapes me, but there's like a toxic toad from one of the, and he's great fun to play. So I'm a big fan of the beast ones. So anything that you get to use beasts with, that's kind of like my jam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, that's a good one. Thanks, Connor, for that. So that brings us to Dana. Number one for Dana.
I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anybody who knows me, but anyway, I'll go with the 5 words. But it's the 5 words are pavilion, sponsor. Who's laughing? Pavilion, sponsor, venom, break, and notepad.
You could have just said
I know
Zoom.
it.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say Zoo. I thought it's just so obvious. But anyway,
Noah.
yes, it's Ark Nova. There's no surprise there. And once again, I don't know how someone can like a game that they're so bad at. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Well,
I
in the
actually was
Discord,
just
they were
looking at-
saying statistically, you're actually not that bad because they did the
really?
math on
Oh.
it. Yeah, Draven did the math on it, and he said that you weren't actually that bad. So, Draven, please at Dana with your math equation because I was pretty impressed.
But why let the truth get in front of anyone of a good story?
It just it just doesn't sound very good, the statistics when you read them out. But anyway, I have gone up by 3%, so now I'm at 28% wins. But look, I just keep coming back to this game, and it's so weird as well. Def doesn't like this game at all, and it's just so. Isn't this amazing? How I listen to all of you with all these different games, and this hobby is so broad, and it's for everyone.
Yeah,
and I
something
love
for
it.
everyone, hey?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
and I love it. But anyway, I love Ark Nova, and actually, Def, you were mentioning about a game earlier about BGA. Will it make it more popular? Pax Pamir, that was it.
Yes.
And I think BGA will make Ark Nova even more popular because it's one of the things that people don't like about it is it's too long. It's a very long game. And I think it does help if you do play it on BGA. It's certainly allowed me to play it more. And I just love it. The card deck is huge. So you never get to see all the cards, and there's always a new puzzle depending on what map you're going to play as and what cards you're dealt. There's always a new puzzle to try and unravel in this game. And the expansion, fortunately, makes it even better. So Ark Nova is my number one. And you know who else has his number one game is Ark Nova?
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Not your mate in the
Okay,
chocolate
TV.
fountain.
No, it's not. It's not
Can we
mine.
mute?
Tom
Can we mute?
Vassell.
It was.
That's it.
Oh, dear. All right. Thanks for that, Dana. That brings us to Adrian. So, Adrian, why don't you open the dam and let the waters of your number one flow over us?
If only there was a chocolate fountain expansion, right? Anyway,
Talk
my
to
number
Simone.
one.
Hey, talk to Simone, your best buddies.
Yeah, that's true. My number one is still Barrage. I think it's just a great puzzle, but it's also highly interactive. It's incredibly cutthroat, and the more I play it, the more nasty of a player I become, which is part of the game. And, you know, like I played it today. I actually taught it to someone today in a 3-player game, and I kind of gave them space because I don't want to cripple their game and make them have a bad time. So obviously I picked on MJ, but then MJ started picking back on G Money and stealing his water. So it was great. It's still a good experience. I still love teaching it. The base game is great. The new maps are fantastic. It's got a 5-player map. There's still 2 more maps coming out, which I was lucky enough to play test. They are both interesting and also awesome. A really good 2-player map, which makes it really a lot more chess-like. Yeah, love it. I still think it's a fantastic game. I still play it regularly. It's my most played game by a long shot. So, yeah, Barrage.
Cool. All right.
Fantastic game.
So only one to go, and that's me. And I don't think I'm going to, make any waves, so to speak. Sticking to my routine of using one word to describe the number 1 game, I thought this could be tricky, but I don't think it's going to be too tricky. I can give you no.
I can guess it with 0 words.
Is your word obvious? Is it obvious? The word?
Yeah.
There was 2 words I was thinking of, and I thought one's way too obvious, so I would have to use the other one. I went with tactical.
Yeah.
Right. The one I didn't use was neoprene.
Yeah.
And it is altogether now 1, 2, 3.
Too
Too
many
many
bones.
bones.
Indeed. Too many bones. It's awesome. It's phenomenal. It's great. Love it. I love my Trove chest. I've talked about it all the time. Brad's way better than me at it. And yeah, there we go. I won't say anything more. We've already covered it a couple of times and I talk about it all the time. So Too Many Bones, still unshaken atop my list, and I don't see it moving anywhere anytime soon. All right, so that brings us to the end of the show and the end of 2023 wrap-up and the end of our top 10s of all times. So thanks to everyone for coming along and sharing those with us tonight.
That was an emotional roller coaster, that one.
It was a little bit, wasn't it?
Yeah, some shocks, some non-shocks.
And yeah, thanks for being with us again for this year in 2023. And as always, check us out on our Facebook community. Listen to us on all of the podcast apps that are out there, and tell your friends about the Board Game Barbecue. And we hope to talk to you again in the new year. Enjoy and be safe. Cheers. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I have a Polish friend who's into sound engineering. I also have a Czech one too.
Oh, God.
Hey.
Oh, no. Oh,
Good one.
no.
I heard that. I knew it was coming. That's so good.